Hello everyone. Today we are taking a look at set 75348, the Mandalorian Fang Fighter versus TIE Interceptor. This set comes out to be 957 pieces, so just a little shy of 1,000 pieces with 3 minifigures and an astromech droid. 2 ships, 3 figs and a droid at 100 USD. For Star Wars, seems like a pretty solid deal, coming in at about a little bit more than 10 cents apart. Not too shabby for Star Wars pricing, especially as of late. So 2023 has been pretty good to us for pricing, but we'll kind of get into that a little bit later. Let's go ahead, let's crack the box open and take a look at the contents inside. All right, after getting the box open, we have in front of us 8 numbered bags and 2 instruction booklets. All right, so first impressions, the set, it's really interesting, right? Because at $100, I gotta say, I think it's a good buy, but I think where it falters is in the Fang Fighter. This almost feels, though, as it was maybe meant to be a 40th anniversary Return of the Jedi set, and it was maybe just supposed to be the TIE Interceptor. But the Fang Fighter feels like it was just kind of thrown in, and I understand now why they didn't go with having they didn't go with doing like the 2 people can build, because if you put the Fang Fighter together and then say your friend put the TIE Interceptor together, I think you would really feel as though you've pulled the short straw between the 2 of them. The figs are great selection of figs. I mean, you know, Mandalorian set, so it's gonna have Mando. And I'll kind of dive into the figs a little bit, you know, more, kind of get you a closer look here in a little bit, but I kind of just want to get my first overall impressions of the set. I think it was done well. I just feel like the Fang Fighter really is kind of an afterthought, because when you look at the TIE Interceptor, I think it being black kind of masks some of those studs. And they use tiling, you know, throughout it. So like right over here, I mean, there's like tiles and everything you've got working on. And then this whole thing is almost completely tileless, or completely studless, with the exception of the few that you've got back here, and then these 2 guys right there. Now the TIE Fighter does, albeit, you know, it's 4 wings. You do 2 at a time because they're mirrored. It does get a little repetitive, right? I mean, that's just kind of the name of the game when it comes to something when you've got that many wings on it. It does kind of start to feel a little repetitive. So by the time you've done the first set, you're kind of like, okay, well, now I have to go do the second set, which, I mean, I don't know. It's fine, and they go pretty quick. Once you've got the hang of that first set you can kind of do the next 2 together at the same time, and just kind of kills a little bit of the time for you. Speaking of time, it probably took me about, I would say, an hour and a half to maybe pushing 2 hours. I was kind of taking my time, having some fun with it. But yeah, that's kind of my overall first impressions. So let's go ahead, let's kind of break this down and look at each individual ship. Okay, so Fang Fighter by itself, you know, you throw in the two Mandalorians into it, you know, the Fleet Commander and Din. I would say a pretty solid $35 set, given like what the market is for about that. And you know, I'm kind of looking at Obi-Wan Starfighter as kind of like a jumping off point for that kind of price. It's a fine build in and of itself. I think it does a lot of things really well. I think it does the shaping of the ship well, right? I mean, it's a symmetrical build, which is pretty common in Star Wars. You know, undersides pretty decent. I mean, they just use it. It's a lot of plate building. The whole thing, I mean, top to bottom, it's just really stacking plates on plates. So If that's not really your thing, I don't think you're really gonna like this portion of the build. Um, you get the you get an X-wing cockpit. It's got a new print on it. Um, it's actually a pretty solid print for what I've seen a lot of those types of cockpits have print on. It's very opaque. It's not, it doesn't look like it's cheaply done. The interior's kind of got this Cadillac vibe going on of like these tan leather seats and stuff. And it's got a bucket handle for the joystick, a pretty traditional like console. I mean, it's a very, it's a very Star Wars ship. There's really no other way to put it. This is about par for the course what you would expect a Star Wars ship in 2023 to look like. It's kind of aesthetic, its feel for a Fang fighter. One thing I do really like is overall the ship it's very sleek in design, and I like the ruggedness of the build for these like the twin blasters on each side of the cockpit. I think that I don't know, they give it that kind of rugged appeal, where the rest of it's very clean, very elegant. And I felt kind of similarly with the Mandalorian Starfighter, the one that had Bo-Katan in it. That one also has a very clean, very, simple aesthetic to it, very angular lines, stuff like that. So I think from an aesthetic standpoint, I think it is a very nice looking ship. But yeah, I don't know. I would say with the two figs that are supposed to go with the, the good guy set versus the bad guy set, I think if you were to break the sets apart and you just gave me this with, Din and the Fleet Commander, I would say a pretty strong, $35. I think it seems pretty reasonable. There's no, to my knowledge, there's no recolors here. There's no, with the exception of maybe these guys that they use back here for the like exhaust of the engines. Those might be a recolor. I don't know entirely. And then the new print on the cockpit. Other than that, I mean, I feel like it's a pretty strong $35 set. So let's go ahead. We'll move over to the TIE Fighter now. Okay, so the TIE Fighter definitely is where the bang for the buck of the set is. Oh, that's a little crooked. Sorry about that. This is where it really comes to life, where the set really kind of they go all out. I'm very biased with this part of the set too, because I had the I think it was the 2008 TIE Interceptor. It was the first set I got from an actual Lego branded store. So this, I'm trying not to let nostalgia play a factor, but it's hard to be completely objective. Even looking at it though objectively, putting aside my feelings of how much I like the TIE Fighter, how much I love Return of the Jedi, this is a very well built TIE. I mean, the whole thing, it's got I've never seen it before, but they use there's a lot of Technic going on, and you can kind of see it right down in there. There's a lot of Technic going on for the way that the wings actually are like bent, so they can't ever get out of alignment, which is pretty nice, unless if they slip on the Technic axle that I think those are like 30 degree or sorry, excuse me, I think like 60 degree. I don't know. No, it'd be well over 90. Whatever that degree of the axle connector is, that would be the only way that they could get, kind of manipulated. But other than that, I mean, it's gonna stay this shape the whole time. I mean, it will be this very clean, very elegant, ship. The only thing that I thought was kind of interesting, this is just completely, it's just a 2x2 round black tile, centered, or that's centered and surrounded by the light bluish gray macaroni tiles there. These guys right there. So I think usually those might have just a little bit more detail. But I mean, overall, it's a really, really, really solid build for a TIE fighter in 2023. I think, and you know, if I'm gonna nitpick it, you know, there's only two things that really stick out to me, and you can see it when I center the ship with the camera, right? So there is some pretty massive gaps here and on that side, and it just goes all the way through. And then I don't know if it's just me, but because there's that gap, it really makes the ball, like the whole cockpit area, it makes it feel very squared. It doesn't have that round appeal. I think that it needs a little bit more of. And I mean, honestly, I don't really know how you would fix that. I think you might be able to fit another plate between that gap. So if you maybe just brought everything down a little bit and kind of made it a little bit more rounded with just an additional plate, I think it would have kind of taken it, you know, the whole way there. Other than that, though, it's solid all around. The cockpit windscreen, that's brand new. That now the shape of it is not, but the print on it, it's a new print. We haven't seen that in either the TIE Bomber or the TIE Fighter that came out, I believe, 2 years ago now. And speaking of those two, this scales really well with the TIE Bomber, but with the same thing with the TIE Fighter, the TIE Fighters don't really scale well with either of these ships, right? It's a smaller, you know, less expensive TIE Fighter, because generally speaking, I think the ones that we had before that, the Solo TIE Fighter, as well as or was that Rogue One? Solo or Rogue One TIE Fighter, which was just the standard Imperial one, and then the First Order TIE Fighter that we got were larger and pretty expensive as far as, you know, TIEs go. So this one by itself, I mean, this is the showstopper of the set. One of my favorite things too with it, I mean, it's so small, but it just looks great, is the use of these fender pieces. So when you open this cockpit here, it just like, it has this really nice, clean, you know, curvature. So when you put that back up, it just flush, it just sits in there just perfect. It should, I totally forgot to put in the green launchers. There's supposed to be launchers sitting there, so that's my bad. But the rest of it, I mean, I don't know. There's not really much more I can say other than this is, without a doubt, this is what drives the set home. This is, I think, the majority of the price. I personally would have much rather have seen this actually be like a genuine, true to form Return of the Jedi 40th anniversary set. No other, you know, add-ons, nothing else. Give me a TIE Pilot, that same one, give me the Astromech, and then just make that this set. I think I would have been pretty happy around maybe $50 to $60. And I know that's kind of being light when you look at it compared to the TIE Bomber, but you got to think that the TIE Bomber's wings go like all the way. Now they're not as long, but they do go all the way. And that one also has like a whole other, you know, like cylindrical part. There's just more going on with the TIE Bomber, where this one, it takes up, you know, it takes up more room than the Bomber did, but the Bomber didn't have as much negative space around it, right? So I'm very, very, very happy with this part of it. I can't really stress that enough. As somebody who's not, you know, predominantly into Lego Star Wars, maybe as much as I used to be, this thing feels absolutely phenomenal. I'm swooshing it around all the time. I'm having fun with it, you know, doing dogfights. It's crazy good. And even as like as a toy, I think that's one of the places that it shines, is it's that cool bad guy ship, right? Of the two ships, this thing just commands attention. So I can't really speak any more highly of it. It's a knockout. It really is. It's just one of those things, when you guys get it in hand, you're gonna love it once you have it built, because it is just amazing. So, let's go ahead. Let's move on to the figs now. Yeah. Din looks pretty much the same. the torso and legs, nothing looked different there. I mean, it looked like the standard Mandalorian torso and legs that we've had. He comes with a jetpack, but I guess really, and he does get the new head, the Pedro Pascal head. That was I believe that came out first with the N1, his N1 starfighter. So, I guess like the two big things. One, we get the Darksaber. The Darksaber is, I think it's done really well. In my opinion, a lot of people are really upset that it didn't get the white outline, this, that, and the other, but I think we also aren't recognizing that the lightsabers don't have the white outline, or I guess like the white center with the colored outline is how a lightsaber would work, but the Darksaber has like the black within it and then the white that surrounds it. So I think going with just black was the safe choice. It keeps the part open to being used in other ways. It's got just a pretty basic shape to it. I'm really happy with it because I think it also just kind of houses that simplicity of Lego. It's not trying to, because I think if you were to add the details, of something like the lines and stuff, if you added that effect, it starts kind of coming to a territory where it might look like a custom, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's like customs more often than not, when it comes especially to accessories, it's pretty easy to tell what's a custom versus what is like a genuine Lego part, right? So I don't know. I think that the Darksaber was done pretty well. The other thing here that is kind of the lesser of the two, I think, in terms of how exciting it is I'm so happy we finally get the like mohawk thing, whatever that's called on his helmet, and then a nice line that just kind of goes and wraps all the way around. Sorry, I'm looking at my phone and using this pointer, but we're getting it's I believe it's like a gunmetal gray print that wraps in front and then right down the center, taking him over. It does get kind of, there's nothing on the back, right? So there isn't any of that print that you see on the back. It's same shiny head, but the front, it adds something. I wish that could have gone all the way. I am a little upset that they didn't really take that all the way, but beggars can't be choosers. I think it looks pretty good. Yeah, I don't know. I'm satisfied with this one, and with the the pictures on Lego.com of there being a N1 microfighter with that helmet and that head. I'm really excited to see this not be locked behind, maybe just this set or an expensive set, right? I'm very personally, I'm very anti-exclusivity. So keeping it available to the market, I think is really good. I think that's a great job. I think Lego did really well with this minifigure, and I'm really excited to see him in a microfighter for people that might not be able to afford this set, right? So we'll move on to the Fleet Commander. All right, so Fleet Commander's got that the rangefinder, kind of like Boba Fett has on his minifigure as well on his Mandalorian helmet. It's got a little crescent, little marking right there at the top. And then that's not lighting, that is a print right there on the inside, the like cheek, the cheek bone area, that is an actual print. The torso, it's a Mandalorian torso. It's Mandalorian, looking legs. There's not really, honestly, too much going on with the fig that's, that crazy. I like the colors a lot, though. I love that silver on the dark blue. I think it's really striking. And then you get like that, medium blue. I think that's medium blue color. That's kind of that is on the helmet. That's on the hands, and then on like the thigh plates, the thigh guards. I don't know what they're called, but he also comes with a jetpack of the same color that Mando had. So, if you didn't have one, well, now you got two with the set. So he's a good looking fig. Now The part that I'm not too big of a fan of is once you remove the head, I believe this is an Eternals minifigure's face, if I'm correct. So we spin it around, he gets kind of a quizzical looking face, and then he just has like the grinning expression, which it works, but it just has a little bit too almost like cartoony of a face, and I don't really know if I'm using the right word. It just looks very animated. It doesn't give like a rugged Mandalorian effect well, I don't think. But all in all, it's cool to see, in my opinion. I would have, honestly, at the end of the day, I probably would have preferred this head anyway versus, some angry clone head or, something of that nature. It's really good, especially with a lot of these Star Wars sets as of late. They've really been mixing up the color palette when it comes to the skin color. So that's a big plus for, purist minifig makers, and then just, you know, inclusivity for inclusivity's sake, right? It looks good. It's a good color. It's that I can't think of what the color's called off the top of my head. It's like a little bit more brown than like medium nougat, I want to say. It's got like more hints of brown in it, but it's a great color, and it's good print. I mean, between him and Mando, they have good print, right? Both of the figs were free of defects. There wasn't any misprints or anything like that. They came out with solid line work, so kudos to Lego for that. I think that looks great, but we'll go ahead and move on to the last two. These two are gonna be pretty short and sweet, really. TIE fighter pilot is a TIE fighter pilot. I mean, there's, they get different indications on the top of the head there, and they'll get, like the lines that run down the mask from time to time. I can't remember which goes with which these days, but big bonus points though that I gotta say is I do like the printed legs on the TIE pilot. I think that looks really clean. But all in all, I mean, it's just your run of the mill, basic TIE pilot. There's nothing really crazy. It is a female variant though, which is cool. So again with that inclusivity, again with that color, I'm all here for it. I love that color change. I love, mixing it up. It's nice not just having the same basic white angry clone face that was just beat to death for what felt like years. It's nice to actually have some good color variation and change in there, right? So it almost actually, quick side tangent, it kind of gives me that like Iden Versio face. It might be that one, but I don't think that they would reuse that, but it kind of gives that vibe of Iden's face. So I don't know if it is or not, but it kind of reminds me of that. But as far as the droid goes, kind of same thing, guys. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it's an astromech droid. There's no back printing that we got on the R2 unit in the R2D2 in the trash compactor and in the Dagobah. The Dagobah displays, the vignettes. There's nothing crazy going on. It's a blacked out R2. Looks clean though. It looks like an Imperial variant of an R2 unit of an astromech. It looks good. It looks good. And it's a fun thing to have in a collection. People love having extra droids, but yeah, these two Vigs are very, there's not a lot here. So, sweet. Let's go to our closing thoughts now. $100. I think in terms of play value, I think that seems like a pretty reasonable and fair price, right? You get this for your kid, your younger brother, your younger sister, whoever it is you're getting this set for. If you're getting it for a 23-year-old adult, I'm gonna have fun with it. I had fun with it. It's a fun build. It's a fun set. It's just nice, for the first time since I want to say it was like that TIE Advanced versus A-Wing, that was years ago, but I think that was the last time we had like a true to form dogfight, bad guy ship versus good guy ships. So it's pretty nice having these two. It's fun to have, you know, that opposing sides. It's nice because you get the all-in-one without really having to buy an additional set, you know. I gotta say, I mean, overall, I am happy with the set. And when I look at that price points I was throwing around, you know, you look at it and you're like 35, you know, 35 for the Fang Fighter, the two figs. Or you look at it like $50 with the TIE Interceptor and the two figs. At the end of the day, I think, you know, if you're looking at anywhere from 85 to 90, I'd love to see it at 10 bucks less, you know. That's almost getting you a microfighter in today's day and age for its price. But 100 seems fair. I think 100 even seems fair from a collector's point of view. I think the Fang Fighter definitely could have used a little bit more time in the oven. I think it could have used a little bit more love. You know, we didn't get a whole lot of it in The Mandalorian Season 3, where it's in, where it premiered. Spoilers, if you haven't seen that, apologies on that. But that's about all the spoilers I'm going to talk about for this season. But you don't see a whole lot of it, so I think it's not only interesting that they decided to go with that as a part of the set, but, you know, after having just gotten the Mandalorian Starfighter, it's kind of nice having something to mix up a fleet, you know, if you're big into collecting the Mandalorian stuff. And then honestly, same thing on the other side. It's nice to get the TIE Fighter or the TIE Interceptor again after getting the fighter, you know, a couple years ago, and then the bomber early this year, late last year. Time is an enigma, but yeah, no, I think this is just an all around. I would say I would recommend it. I would, if not, you know, just lightly recommend. I would say pretty strongly recommend if you're a fan of Star Wars, if you're a fan of Return of the Jedi, if you're a fan of the Clone Wars, or you're a fan of the Mandalorian. I think that there is a lot here to love. And, you know, I didn't touch on this earlier, but one of my favorite things between these two is, you know, in the inside of the cockpit, and you can't really see it on that guy, but you can if I tilt it up. In the actual canopy, you can kind of see a little bit of blue there. There's a little bit of blue there, and then you get a little bit of blue on the engine outlets there. And then on the TIE Fighter's interior, you guessed it, you get red. So you get red, and it's kind of hard to see. Sorry about the lighting, but you know, you get a little bit of red in there. You get a little bit of red on the sides. And then that's just a basic control panel. But you know, you get the blue and the red, you get the dark bluish gray, and you get the light bluish gray, and you get the white, and you get the black. And there's just this really appealing color contrast here between these two ships. I gotta say, I recommend it. You know, it's just a good set. But that's gonna wrap up the review, guys. So let us know what you thought of the Mandalorian, you know, Fang Fighter versus TIE Interceptor. What did you think? Were you more of a fan of the Fang Fighter than I was? Do you think that it's a well-priced set? Do you guys think it should maybe be somewhere different? Was I completely wrong? Let us know in the comments what you thought of the review, so we can kind of get some feedback and kind of see, you know, what people are after, what they're into, what they want to see from this channel. This is our first review. Thank you guys so much for checking it out. This has been an absolute blast. It's something I've wanted to do for a long time. So I was super happy of all the sets to do. I'm really happy that this one got to be a first, because I feel confident in recommending this set to Star Wars fans. But yeah, guys, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that, you know, that basic YouTube stuff you hear at the end of a video, you know. Let us know what you think, and we'll see you in the next review. Take care, guys.